Well, I'm not sure it's so much sparked an interest. Like, I think many of my generation, I fell into the job. I'd been previously working as a publicity director for a music festival in the state of Texas. That job ended, and I applied to be an admissions officer at a university there. I was going to do publications, and oh, by the way, you're also going to be working with the foreign students we had. It was, they had about 120 foreign students at the time. This was 1979. And so got some contacts to learn some of the regulations and how to work with students. But I started actually in the field on the day that the Ayatollah returned to Iran, which sparked the revolution, taking of the embassy and the hostages and all of that. And had to learn very quickly how to care for the softer side, maybe. That's sort of funny to say softer side, but the non-regulatory side of working with students who in '79 were cut off from their families, couldn't find out if the bombing in their hometown, if any family with casualties, communication, and at the same time were being harassed by the US government. Sometimes I feel we come full circle that way, but not quite as bad as it was then. So it was the part of the job I ended up liking an awful lot, and then moved into a full-time foreign student advisor job at another school. So as I say, did not plan it, but as I look back on my personal experiences, perfect fit for what I wanted out of life. Well, I think one is helping found and establish the Rainbow Special Interest Group back in, I guess it was 93. That was not an easy time for people who of diverse sexual orientations and identities. We were dealing with the AIDS epidemic. As a matter of fact, I had just lost a partner to AIDS on that. And helping get that established. I was in a comfortable place in my personal life so I could do it. And to see where it's gone in 25 years, it's such a different world for LGBT people. Still not a perfect one, but I know we've supported a lot of folks in coming out throughout the years, but I think we've also pushed NAFSA to be more inclusive. And there were some challenges in that. And I think the other one that I'd put on the list of things I'm most proud of is working with Bob Erickson to write the first NAFSA Statement of Professional Competencies. That was in the I think it was the late 80s or early 90s, I'm not sure the exact time, but the first Statement of Professional Competencies that turned into what is now our training program. I think it's, in a way, ironic that another one of the Life members, Jennifer Lund, led the revision of the NAFSA competencies. So we've both had a little bit of involvement in this same project. I guess the technology and how it's affected what we do, both on the management side of this, of the job, and also the non-management side. Technology, now we have the CVIS tracking system. We have email to communicate with students. I actually worked on a small task force that predicted what technology was going to do for the field, oh gosh, probably 20 years ago, and I've seen a lot of that happen, the internet. And it's not just changed how we do business, but how we interact with students. I recall at orientation, we'd often say, if any of you have not written home yet, write a letter to your parents, say, no, you got here, because there would be a turnaround time. Now, they've already called them the minute the wheels touch down in JFK. Haven't even gotten beyond immigration to say we're here. And so I think some students find it a challenge with the technology, the instantaneous communication to parents, to always entirely break away at an appropriate level with their home culture. It's also meant a lot of more students come here with what they think is an idea of what American culture is going to be. They've gone to the internet, they've seen the American movies, they hear American news, and come here expecting to find that sort of America and United States and don't always look for the subtleties of the real country now, because technologically they know what they're coming to. Yeah, one that came, I think, after an experience. One of the schools I worked at, we got a sponsored African student from Mali, a woman named Umu Sangare. And I remember Umu very well. She was in her mid-30s when she came. This was in the early 90s. This is the life expectancy of women in Mali at the time was in their mid-30s. Mali, very poor, very, very challenged country. And I remember she came, and her first challenge was understanding that she really needed to spend the money given to her to live here. She was able to find a place to live, a room in a house for like $300 a month, and was just outraged. That was more than a whole year's salary back then, and wanted to save her money and send it back home to improve their life. But she had some very good advisors, professors in her department, and I worked with her as well to understand long-term this was best for her and her family. If she got her master's here, she was going to be able to return to Mali and do great things. And she did. She, at one point, was the highest ranking woman in the Mali government, was in charge of children's and family affairs, and women's and family affairs, I should say, in the Mali legislature. But it was how an investment by some people into a woman who came to the United States, went home and helped a struggling country improve the lives of particularly women and children who are the first to be challenged in countries that are very poor. To be kinder, gentler. It's not just in the United States. I think we've heard a lot about how we have to make sure the politicians on all sides of the aisle don't keep making this an anti-foreign agenda. But we've also seen it in other countries that have large numbers of international students. Britain has experienced it. Germany has experienced, Australia. We need to work to make countries welcome these people in their midst and take advantage of the gifts they give in helping people that don't have the opportunity to study outside the United States understand a little bit of that transition. It helps you understand your own culture more. It helps you, in some ways become more comfortable with who you are as a cultural being. Sometimes it makes changes. Sometimes it just affirms that I like the way I am as a culture. But that's something I'd like to see us do. I'd also, for our institutions on the international student side, stop worrying less about the regulatory requirements that institutions have because we're taking care of them, and worry more about the integration of students into their campuses. I've seen a lot of places that worry so much about making a mistake with immigration that sometimes it means that the students they have don't get all the advantages of their experience here. Connect with people. You can learn a lot. And I think you can see, I know my connections with people when I began in the field were what inspired me to stay. Related that one thing that kept me in the field is I was at a school that I was not really supported at, but nearby at the University of Texas at Austin, Joe Neal, who is one of NAFSA's founders, took me under his wing and showed me the big picture and gave me hope that someday I'd be part of that big picture. And I think that's what the new people in the field need to learn the field. Maybe right now you're an international student advisor, but know about study abroad. Have some idea what your senior international officer does in her or his daily work. Because if you see the big picture, you know how you fit in it. And I think it's a very good way to fulfill your life. Yeah, I'll share something. I don't know how this works into this, but an experience I had, which was very, very satisfying. Just yesterday, I was talking with a woman with her newcomer badge on, and was brand new first conference. And when we got to talking, she noticed my life membership badge, and her question to me was, "How can I get life membership when I'm at your stage in life?" And it was nice to inspire that in someone, and I hope I did. Somebody who's just brand new to the field, thinking 40 years down the road, and in some ways committing to it at such a young age.